We know who you are.
Well, somebody can even put a picture. I mean, that could be public record, right?
Yeah, I'll take you home if you forget. All right. Order. Good afternoon, everybody. Julie, are you ready if I start? Okay, thank you. So, roll call, we have, I'm here, Member Thompson, Member Rogal, and we have Member Chairman McIntyre to make the quorum for us. Item 2A, approval of September 2, 2021 regular meeting minutes, and I so move. May I have a second? Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Mr. Rogal? Well, I made a motion and Mr. Rogal seconded it. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, so we have approval of bills and transfers. The bills have been approved by our county auditor. We have, for the general fund, a total of $520,993.83. Do I have a motion to approve? Oh, it is part of the consent agenda. Well, we'll take it separately. Thank you. Ms. Rhodes.
Well,
Yeah, well,
since you did them separately, it's okay
separately.
to have a second motion and second.
Thank you for saying that, though. Mr. Rogal made a motion. Have a second? All in favor of approving the, say aye. Opposed? Motion approved. Thank you. Do we have any appearance by members of the public then?
No, Vice Chairman Wilrab, we do not.
Okay. And Departmental Matters, we have to start Mr. Mike Steffa, Director of Parks and Recreation Department, and has no items for action, but he does have a monthly report. Anything you want to add to that, Mr. Steffa?
Okay. Yeah, my report can be found in the packet. If anybody has any questions on that, I'd be happy to answer. Also, I wanted to bring up, it was brought to our attention by a board member that there's some things out at the park that are kind of falling apart and whatnot. We'd been low on staffing for quite a while now. We are, as far as our full-time people go, we're back at four full-time, so we're back at regular full-time staffing, and we are going to complete those tasks that were brought to our attention. As a matter of fact, some of it was started today. So if anybody has any questions about them, I'd be happy to answer that.
Hearing none. Thank you very much, Mr. Steffa. I greatly appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Yes, certainly. All right, then we move on to item 4B. Mr. Doherty, Facilities Management Director. He has 3 items for action. Item 1A, request approval of J. Spencer Construction LLC bids to replace drywall in the Sheriff's Department and A2 pipe installation repairs and ceiling tile replacement at the Law and Justice Center. May I have a motion, please? Mr. Thompson makes a motion. Mr. Rogal seconds. Thank you. Do we have any questions concerning this action item? My only question was, I think on the, I think it says that on this one, it's the drywall is not going to be taped or finished off in any way. Is that because there's those sheeting going over the top of it? Okay.
Correct, and that's for the animal shelter.
That was for the animal shelter,
The
okay.
law and justice will be taped and painted
Okay.
and finished.
I got them confused, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
That's very helpful. So, all in favor then, unless I hear any more questions? On item 1A, A, 1 and 2, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Then item 1B, request approval of Paul Davis bid for animal shelter repairs. Any have a motion? Mr. Thompson, and second by Mr. McIntyre. Sorry about all that. Any questions on that one? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to item B1C, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the Mclean County fiscal year 2021 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for the Facilities Maintenance Department 0041. And I may I have a motion for that, please? Mr. Chairman McIntyre. And a second? Member Thompson. We're going to have lots of hand raising today. Okay, do we have any questions concerning this one? No, no questions? Then all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. There is a monthly report included in your packet. Does anybody have any additional questions or comments for Mr. Doherty, Facilities? No? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll be getting back to you here in a few minutes on the budget.
You're welcome.
All right, then moving on to County Administrator, Ms. Taylor, has several items for action. Item 1A, request approval of a letter of intent to ground sublease. Would you like to briefly?
Please.
Describe?
So this letter of
Oh,
intent.
forgot to ask for a motion.
Oh, certainly.
Motion, Mr. Thompson, second, Chairman McIntyre. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you again.
Sorry about that.
So this letter of intent is in support of the Laborers Home Development Corporation for a grant application. This is actually an updated letter of intent. As you might remember, a couple of years ago, Mr. Tim Ryan came to the property committee to explain the project that they are interested in pursuing. And in January, the board signed a letter of intent for the purpose of reviewing possibility of having a development of a rehabilitation senior housing center at the Fairview site. Ideally, this project would include some grants for the Laborers Development Corporation, and they were not able to receive that status as quickly as they had anticipated, and so the purpose of this is just to extend that letter of intent so that they may proceed with this project. They did have one major step completed, and that was the project's facility status was granted, but they still have a couple of more financing grant applications that have to be completed, and so for that matter, they would need an extended letter.
Any questions for? All right, then all in favor of approving the letter of intent, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item C1B, request approval of a lease for the Mclean County Museum of History building at 200 North Main Street, Bloomington. I have a motion. Mr. Rogel, second. Chairman McIntyre.
This action item is in reference to our partnership, longstanding partnership with the Museum of History that's located in the old courthouse in the Courthouse Square, 1 block from here. We have worked on this lease for quite some time, and it is with great pleasure that I present it to this property committee. We feel that this is a fair and equitable lease that will be extended for 30 years to the museum so that they may maintain their presence in downtown and support the use of our beautiful historic building.
Wonderful. That's very good news that we have a contract ready. Any questions concerning that? Then all in favor of entering into this lease with the History Museum? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Finally, request approval of a service agreement with Healthcare Waste Management. That's item C1C. May I have a motion? Mr. Thompson, a second. Mr. Rogel.
Part of the efforts of administration in the last few months have been a review of our procurement policies as well as existing longstanding contracts. And it was brought to our attention that our biohazard waste, our medical waste contracts had not been reviewed in some time. And so we took that upon ourselves to do that. And we are ready to enter into a new contract with Healthcare Waste Management Services. I've outlined in your memo what that will entail. It encompasses 4 of our departments that are in need of those services, and I'm able to answer any additional questions you might have.
Are there any additional questions? If not, we'll vote. All in favor? Those opposed? None. So motion passes. Thank you very much, Ms. Taylor. I think we're ready to move on to our budgeting portion of the meeting. So we have item C1D, request approval of fiscal year 2021 recommended budget for the Facilities Management Department, Fund 001, Department 0041, and it would include several separate pieces. So we'll start with D1, but I was going to ask you, Ms. Taylor, if I know you have some slides, and we've probably all seen a portion of these from other areas, but they're quite helpful in explaining the highlights of each budget and what maybe has changed from last year. But could I ask you, if you wouldn't mind, explaining, because for my own information, and there may be other people on the committee who would benefit, the accounting that's in here between the PBC, the money how the money is accounted for, and why we're seeing some of the revenue cited as it is in here, because I'm not sure I completely understand it myself.
Okay. So the PBC is the owner of our properties. That Public Building Commission was established long ago, and we have deeded over all of the properties to the Building Commission, and then we pay a lease payment to the Building Commission. And then if we have any specific loans that we have requested from the Public Building Commission, such as for the JDC roof or for the Government Center roof, then we would have a separate loan amount that we would pay to the Public Building Commission. The public building, and then we provide the O&M, the operations and maintenance for these buildings. And so they in turn, we send a request for payment, and they in turn return funds to us for the operations and maintenances of our facilities. And so that is all incorporated into the facilities budget, and why it's kind of a back and forth.
I think that last one was the piece I didn't quite catch from this, so under general fund facilities management, say, for example, juvenile detention, the PBC reimbursement, so they're sending us back money for the facilities, the management piece, line 0041, in the amount of, we're budgeting $346,000 and some odd dollars. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's what that revenue line item is. Okay. Thank you.
I was just looking for confirmation, and I
Got
have
it.
it.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. Okay, so my slides for facilities. Facilities is a very involved department that incorporates several buildings. Oh my. So I'm just going to give a quick budget overview. Daily responsibilities for facilities management include many things. Here are the highlights. The custodial and maintenance departments include all building-related equipment, including electrical, lighting, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, fire suppression systems, kitchen equipment, all jail systems, including doors and locks, and then also includes ground maintenance responsibilities, lawn care, snow removal, cleaning, repairs, and then all building structure care. So from the roof all the way down to the underground utilities, that is the responsibility of this department. Facilities and custodial staff maintain several buildings, and they're listed out there for you. As a overview for their budget as a whole, you can see there that 29% of their budget is for salaries, 6% for supplies, 52% is services, and then for this year's proposed budget, 13% is capital assets and projects. So if I just want to hit the highlights in this fund, Department 41, we have a juvenile detention center roof loan repayment in $14,000. We have an elevator loan repayment for 200 West Front Street at $43,000. The old courthouse roof loan repayment is listed there, $68,000. The elevator restoration, which is proposed this year, would be $275,000. Then we have several other items listed from the Law and Justice Center. That's what L&J stands for. And we have furniture replacement, facilities maintenance van, and an elevator replacement in the Law and Justice Center. I believe that one is for the judge's elevator. And then 3 items for the government center, the roof loan repayment, parking lot resurface, and the freight elevator restoration. And those that are indicated with asterisks would be related to, we had a bond for the government center that was paid in full, will be paid in full at the end of this year, and it is necessary for those restorations of those elevators, and so we are proposing that we would have another bond issue to maintain the current tax levy at the current rates for 2022, and that would address some of these longstanding restoration projects that we have held in reserve for a while. GO stands for government obligation bonds, or general obligation bonds. And that is the end of my presentation. I am sure that Mr. Doherty could expound if you have specific questions about lines.
Do we have a motion on this one? Okay. Need a motion first, I think, on DD1, Juvenile Detention Center Program 0022. Chairman McIntyre, and then second by Member Thompson. Thank you.
You could take them as a whole. For D, these are all facilities maintenance budget for their different buildings,
Okay.
or you could take them separately. I do not have anything more to present in my PowerPoint for the separate entities. I presented them as a group.
Okay. Anybody have any feeling either way? We take.
I have no objection.
Okay, to taking them together? Me either, so. Okay. I guess though we should probably go through each one individually, just to make sure we understand what's going on or have questions with each one, or should we have How would we do that? Each, just ask questions.
Well, then if you'd like to go through them individually, we could turn to page 95, and that would be the Juvenile Detention Center.
Yes.
I'm sorry, just to clarify, the motion that we have on the floor is D as a whole, is that correct?
I think I said D1, so that we would need to amend that motion to take D1 through 8 altogether.
Also amend, without objection. I'll amend.
Okay. Seconded. Okay, so we will take them all together. Does anybody have any questions on any of those items? Hearing none, then we can take a vote. All in favor of items D1, and through D8. Do I need to read them each individually?
No.
Okay, thank you. Say aye. Opposed? Same sign. Motion passes. So now we have, moving on to C1E, and we can, I assume, take both of these together. It's request approval of fiscal year 2021 recommended budget for the Parks and Recreation Department budget, Fund 001, Department 0040, including E1, Parks Operation Program, and E2, Recreation Service Program. Anyone object to taking those together? If not, that's what we'll do. If I have a motion to do that. Mr. Thompson makes the motion. Mr. Rogal seconds. Any questions for our Parks Director on either of these two budgets?
I just have a couple slides first, if
Oh,
you
yes,
don't mind.
I'm sorry. So sorry.
So we really are expanding our horizons with PowerPoint. So I'd like to point out the beautiful picture of our Kamblara Park sign. And for our budget overview, it is the mission of McLean County Department of Parks and Recreation to ensure adequate provision for and high quality of regional parks and related outdoor recreational activities for all citizens of McLean County in the most cost-effective manner possible. So for our revenues for Parks and Rec, these are a little more difficult to read because we have several sources of income. Campground fees make up the majority of the revenue coming in, and then the next largest would be the boat registrations at $86,000. Next largest would be boat concession revenue, and that's at $85,000, and then on down. For expenses, 59% of the Parks and Rec expense lines come from salaries. Next is 16% for supplies, 20% for services, and this year we are proposing 5% for capital assets and projects. So those $35,000 for capital asset projects will be $20,000 for the replacement of boats and utilities cart, and $15,000 for replacement radios, moving from analog to digital, I believe. If that is the same as we're seeing in other departments. And then we have requested $1.1 million in capital expenditures to be transferred for the ARPA funds for the resurfacing of the pavement. If you've been out to the park lately, you'll see that the roads, some of the roads in the park are in need of restoration, and we would like to handle that this year. And then we also have matching funds for the Route 66 trail phase that's anticipated.
I have a question then. Going back to what we talked about a little bit earlier, some of those incidental small things at the park, like the benches and the signage pieces. I think there's maybe, I can't find it right at the moment, about 30 some odd $1,000 that seem to be going toward things like that. Is that correct in here? I thought I wrote down where it was, but I apparently did not. Just wanted to be sure that we have ample money in here to address those kind of things, because I guess I just feel that as a policy, it would be nice to keep the park like spick and span and up, in great condition, so that revenue line item could perhaps continue to grow.
Yes, I believe we have plenty of revenue in that line.
Great, that's good. Anything else? Yes.
A couple questions. So the 1.1 million for resurfacing, is that, can you hear me?
Yes.
You can? Nobody can ever hear me. Is that for like all the roads, or will that be the complete project, or where do we stand on, what percent of that?
I believe it's for all the roads.
Okay, okay, that's good. So the park's a big place. Do you feel you have enough staff to take care of all the grounds and keep things up to date? And you can never have enough staff, right? I get that.
Honestly, I don't believe we do. I mean, when I first started there 32 years ago, we had a lot more staffing. We had 2 more additional full-time people, and it was hard for us to keep up then. I will never turn down additional staffing. There's a lot of things that I would like to do out at the park, our staff would like to do. We have a master plan that was made back in the mid-70s. I would be happy to get people copies of that, and there's a lot of what I think are beneficial entities, recreational opportunities for people of this community. But it would definitely take more staffing to do that.
Mhm. Yeah, as we took the tour out there, I I have a grasp for what it takes to maintain grounds.
I mean, right now,
It
we're,
takes a lot of time and effort and people.
at this time of the year, all of our high school and college kids are back.
Mhm.
So we're stretched real thin right now, especially when the grass keeps growing. So, and we're still extremely busy in the campground. This Columbus Day weekend and next weekend is our Fall Colors Family Day weekend, are 2 of our busiest times of the busiest weekends of the year.
Mhm.
So we'll get it done, but it means not necessarily, I'll probably be on a mower tomorrow if it's not raining. If it's not rain, or if it is raining, there's gonna be areas that don't get mowed that normally do get mowed, but it just means that we can't do other things that we could be doing. And that's not to knock anybody. That's just my personal feeling that we could use additional staffing.
I appreciate your feedback, because like I said, it just looks like a massive undertaking to keep it neat and clean and well-kept looking and attractive to bring people in, right? And doesn't look run down, so I appreciate your input on that. Thank you.
If you had going, so that master plan is something I'm not aware of and probably is in need of updating, I would imagine, after all these years. But in order to, I guess, dust that kind of a thing off and maybe to update it, would you need staff in order to get to that point? Or is that something, was that done with a consultant, or how is that?
Yes, we would need additional staffing.
In order just to take a look at what needs to happen under in order to make a revision to
Oh,
an
no, I'm sorry.
age-old master plan.
I think we could make a revision without staff,
Mhm.
without, with current staffing.
What would you see as a timeline, a reasonable timeline for being able to do that? I mean, if you're out mowing and you're the director, how do you get that done? I guess?
Well, hopefully, one of these days, it's gonna start, well, I hate to say that word, snow, but when things start, after the Fall Colors Family Day weekend, things will start slowing down. Um, That is, if the weather starts cooling off. It's all, outdoor recreation is weather-driven. I mean, obviously, if it stays nice, our campground will stay busy. If it starts cooling down like it normally does, as soon as we get that first frost, it really starts slowing down. So then we can do more. I can do more administrative stuff. Brad, our operations supervisor, can do more things that he should be doing. So I believe we could get that thing updated probably by the end of the cold season, probably by next March. I don't see a reason why we couldn't. But I think we would need some feedback from other people as well, not just the rec staff. If we could form some kind of a committee on that. The original plan was made up of the board. They actually had an original Parks and Recreation committee. It never fell under the property committee. It was a separate committee. When they changed that, I don't know. But I would definitely think that administrative staff and board members should be included in that. And maybe some people from the outside too. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Another line of questioning I have concerns being able to promote the park, and I think, in a question about also to increase revenue, is it possible to use, in a lot of places you go, in county parks, they have resident fees and non-resident fees, and those non-resident fees are higher. I don't know if you have any feel for how many like, Woodford County people come to our park or whatever. But and also that requires, I think, some staff to be able to monitor those kind of things and take. I think what brought this home to me was that sign I sent you a picture of, the equestrian trail sign, and I know people are out there because there was evidence of horses being out there the one day I was walking around out there. So I wonder, like, how do these people, do they pay their fine? I mean, it's easy to put a kayak in there and never pay that fee. And, does it ever make any sense to be able to have a staff person at an entrance making sure that we collect fees from people?
Well, we would hope that our sheriff's deputy that's stationed out there would be on that task. He does check from time to time people to make sure people are registered. We do have two self-registration boxes at each boat launch now for watercraft.
Then another, well, I don't know whether that's worth looking at or not. I mean, I'd leave that to people who know more about these things than I do, but because it's a big area, and whether people there's an awful lot of boats coming in and out of that lake on certain days, and I just can't help but wonder sometimes when I see, especially the bigger boats, the John boats and those kind of things go in, whether, have they paid their fees? I don't know, because I don't see a lot of people going up to that box, to be honest with
Mhm.
you. And maybe they've already done it online. I don't profess to know. but-
Yeah, if they paid an annual fee, they should have the sticker on the side of their boat. Now with kayaks and paddle boards, we do give them the option to keep it in dry bags because we found that our stickers don't stick on some of the, real well on some of the boards and the kayaks. So we do give them that option.
Well, and I'm not going to police that when I go out there, but then one more line of questioning, just because I do obviously use the lake I go there quite a lot just to walk the trails and things, so I think about it. If we had an out-of-county fee, or even not, do we have adequate staff to promote the park and all the benefits of the park, even to our own county members?
I believe we do, yes.
And we're doing that, how do we typically do that?
Through our Facebook page, through our website, through word of mouth.
Because it is a gem, and you do keep it lovely, and, those campsites are fabulous places, so, we should I know I run across a lot of people who don't even know it exists, so
Yeah.
it would be great to get the word out more to people. but-
We do have, I don't know if you're aware or not, we do have county and non-county resident fees for in certain areas.
Thank you. So those are the things that have been plowing through my mind. Anyway, any other questions? Concerns? Thank you very much. Appreciate everything you both of you do, and thank you for coming
Thank you.
today. And I know it's a lot of work preparing a
Yeah,
budget.
I'd just like to say thank you to a couple things. During COVID, the Common Law Park became a tremendous asset to many. And speaking as a citizen, I spend my time out there quite often just to get out and look around. I know you talked once, remember we were about bird watching, but I hit every trail I could and found things I didn't even know was there. So appreciate good job your staff has done there over the years. I would kind of like to see your capital improvement plan because I was chairman of the committee. It used to be called Health, Human Services, and Recreation in 1984. So my committee actually built campgrounds. So I'd like to see the master plan just going back from the 70s to see what we were able to accomplish because we didn't even have campgrounds out there at that time. There are some things, I know this, Mr. Steff, there's always something extra that can be done in a vast area like that, but appreciate the job that you and your staff has done. And while I'm on the subject, and I have the floor, and then I'll shut up. Also, Mr. Doherty, it's a never-ending battle of things you've got with all our county board facilities, so appreciate all that you've done both of you working within your budgets and working with our staff and our administrative staff. Thank you.
Thank you for those words, Mr. Chair. Okay, so now we're going to move on to items. Oh, we need to vote. So we do. So all in favor then of accepting items E1 and E2, say aye. Any opposed? That would be me. No. So not opposed. That motion passes. And thank you again. Now we can move on to item C. 1F, request approval of the capital improvement plan. And everyone should have gotten at the county board meeting, capital improvement 5-year plan booklet. And so may I have a motion to put that on the table? Mr. Thompson makes a motion. Mr. Rogal seconds. Do we have a presentation with that?
Yes. So for our 2022 proposed capital improvement plan, we are looking at improvements to several areas of county government, including our county facilities, maintenance, parks and recreation, technology, and transportation. With the Government Center, we are requesting improvements for the freight elevator replacement, the parking lot resurfacing, and counter safety upgrades to several of the departments. The Law and Justice Center includes several safety features, especially on the judges' floors, magnetic card door entry system similar to what we have in administration, cameras for restricted hallways, video intercoms, and a jury room storage closet. They also include the elevator replacement that we referenced before and the 1990 South addition ventilation improvement. We have additional requests for 200 West Front Street building of a boiler replacement and also a ventilation fan 2. Mr. Doherty could tell you what that means. For the old courthouse, we do the museum, History Museum, we have an elevator replacement included in the proposed budget, and for Metcom, we also have parking lot resurfacing. In the nursing home, these are costs that were pushed forward from previous years where we did not have the revenues to support these capital improvements. We hope to do so this year, including window replacement, fan coil replacement, exterior brick repair, and electrical switch replacement. In Parks and Rec, we spoke already about the campground road repair. We also would like to build a Evergreen Lake boat rental building, and then the Route 66 trail construction was also discussed in the last budget. Highway Department has several capital improvements. The first three are not roads, and so I'd like to speak to those first. The fabric equipment storage structure, that was discussed this month in the Transportation Committee meeting. Jerry explained that they have the fabric for that building. They would just need the steel infrastructure. Then he also is requesting a maintenance shed boiler replacement and perimeter fencing and gate to secure that facility a little better. And the rest would include, as included and as stated in your booklet, several of the road projects that he has suggested. I'll just let you read those. And further road projects. The largest one is the Meadows Road Turkey Creek Bridge. That one, as you can see, is an $8 million project and will take them the entirety of 2022 to complete. So funding sources are always a concern when we're looking at capital improvements, and we have listed out here 3 separate funding sources that we're proposing to help us with these projects. The first would be our American Rescue Plan Act funds. That would be for 14 of these projects that encompass 6 building sites or departments for a total of $1,587,500, excuse me, $1,587,500. The next would be the Public Building Commission Capital Improvements Bond. There would be 2 projects, 2 building sites or departments would receive the benefit of those funds, and that would total $795,000. Lastly would be our normal yearly operating income, and that would encompass 16 projects, 3 building sites or departments, 10 road projects, and that encompasses $22,539,800. I always say the dollars too fast. One more. So we've listed here, in case you were curious, the outlines for those funding sources that were beyond the typical operating use. And they're listed there. And that's the end.
Thank you very much. Questions? Mr. Thompson?
So back to the transportation. So there was money for a fence. Is that out on Route 9 project? Or not project, but property?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I'm on the wrong slides again.
Too far.
Yes,
and
so
so
the
the,
perimeter front fence and gate would be out off of Towanda Barnes,
Off
Towanda
of Towanda
Barnes, not
Barnes.
Route 9.
It's just Towanda Barnes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the shed, that's out at
The maintenance shed is also off of Towanda Barnes, and it's the replacement of the boiler.
no, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
the second one, the storage structure, or the first one.
The fabric storage structure, I believe they may be putting that on Route 9. But that is for some of their equipment. I would have to ask Jerry to be sure of the location, but I know he has indicated they have several large pieces of equipment that are out in the elements year-round that he would like to protect a little better. It's not in need of a complete building shelter, but a fabric building would help a lot to keep them out of the elements over the winter.
Yeah, we had talked about with someone else about road graders and excavators and all that type of stuff. Yeah, that's a good idea. Hmm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of money to be sitting outside
Yeah.
deteriorating, so. Thanks.
Last night at finance, we talked a little bit about the nursing home and the Blue Ribbon Commission on that. On the projects that are on here,
There we are.
and I think as most people said last night, it's been a while since we've looked at what the Blue Ribbon Commission recommended for the nursing home. It seems like maybe that exterior brick repair might have been one of those items. Are any of those other things, two questions, so are any of those other items stemming from the Blue Ribbon Commission, and are there things that the Blue Ribbon Commission has recommended that would fall under capital improvement that are not on there?
So you are correct. The exterior brick repair was a recommendation, making some cosmetic efforts on the outside of the building were recommendations of the Blue Ribbon Committee. And so that is included here. Those other three upgrades that you see, the window replacement is part of that sprucing of the exterior, but it was not specifically identified by Blue Ribbon. The other two are internal infrastructure needs, just for maintenance of the building. And so 2 out of the 4 would be included in the Blue Ribbon. Other upgrades that they suggested were like a portico or a porch in the beginning or in the front of the building, and that has not been included. There were some design elements that are still being worked out to see if it meets the needs of a drive-up. We have to do some engineering and design work before we make some decisions on that, and it was quite costly. So that is still under consideration. Other items that were recommended by Blue Ribbon were things that could be handled by the maintenance staff there, including flower beds and things of that nature.
That portico, is that something that could be put in the out years of the 5-year plan?
Absolutely. If we find that it is a good plan yet, we still have some room in later years of the 5-year plan to include that.
Any additional questions or comments? Okay.
I just have one comment about capital improvement plans. I'm taking my mask down so you can hear me because I mumble as it is. I'll put it back up and get closer. Yeah, when county board thinks about building capital improvement plans for 5 years, there's things we're trying to do and there's projects we're thinking about, and that's rightfully so. But to come in and think that we're going to expand and do all these things and it's going to be in concrete just doesn't work because we don't know. from year to year what our budget's going to be. We don't know what our assessed valuation is going to be. We don't know what our grants are always going to be, property taxes coming in, et cetera. So it's good that we have these plans, but we also know there's times that need comes involved. You guys are sitting here that way too. So I don't want to think anybody thinks things are totally in concrete when we do capital improvement plans, because they're just not. They just cannot be. Hopefully, we can do more. Hopefully, we can do more, but it's not always the case. And so it is, but it is it's a road map. That's what it is. It's a guide for us all to have. And so we appreciate the work that's done on it and the estimates that go into it. Who knows what's going to pop up from year to year? That's why we're here to make those kind of decisions. So it is there. It's a necessary thing. We could have a 10-year capital improvement plan. Doesn't mean we're going to get some of it done, or doesn't mean we're not going to need more. So that's all I got to say about it.
Yes, Mr. Thompson.
You actually brought one thing to my mind. The boat shed that we're talking about, have you, with the shortages and things, how's that looking?
I did put out a request for quotes just to get a ballpark. It came in a little higher than I thought they would because of the lumber prices right now. They're starting to come back down a little bit. So hopefully those quotes, if we decide to move forward with this and with the McLean County Sportsman is going to donate $25,000 along with that. I don't see any reason why we couldn't move forward with that in 2022.
Okay. Yeah, I just heard that there's been, with all terrible issues with building new construction, and so I was just curious.
Lumber not so much of
Steel.
a shortage, but our equipment is where mowers and stuff like that is where we're seeing a tremendous wait time on things.
Okay. No other questions, then I will take a vote. All in favor of approving the capital improvement plan as presented, say aye. No opposed, so the motion passes. Thank you. Thank you for putting that together.
Certainly.
Are there any items to be presented for information? Seeing none. Any other business and communication? And if not, we're adjourned then. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.